Hi, I'm Matt and he's Dave, and this is the 5th edition of Neighborhood Sports Talk. Tonight we're going to be talking about firing managers mid-season, playoff series or one game, and the most exciting player in the NBA, plus your questions. But first, we want to talk about the Robert Kraft statement with all of the Deflategate stuff going on and all of the back and forth between the league and the Patriots and threats and what are they going to do now. Robert Kraft came out with a statement saying that they are simply going to accept the league's penalties. What do you think that means?
Well, all right, let me ask you. I'll ask you this to start it off. Do you view it as an admission of guilt?
I view it as definitely weakness on the Patriots' part. I don't think they were quite as strong as they thought they were going to be. I'm not going to go so far as to say that, well, obviously they were guilty, but I do think that it means they did not want this coming to a head in a court where they could be forced to give up information that they haven't given up.
Right. All right, no, that's fair, because that's the thing I've heard a lot is like, oh, that's it. Kraft just waved the white flag. They're guilty. Brady knew everything. To me, I see it as maybe I'm a sucker. I don't know, but I think
You are.
Yeah, no, I definitely am a sucker. That's true. Yeah, I view it as face value. Like, I think exactly what he said is what it means. I think that at some point you have to stop being the sore thumb that's sticking out. In the NFL, there's no, like, you know how normally they say, like, well, bad publicity is good publicity because you're being talked about? This is getting really ugly and catty and on, like, both sides. And it still is even continuing a little bit, but I think really they tried, Robert Kraft being the owner and the highest up in the Patriot system, tried to just, you know what, this isn't getting us anywhere, right? We'll let Brady do his appeal. Let's just swallow this thing and get the hell out of here because it's getting worse than it's getting better. So I feel like I don't take it as an admission of guilt by any means. I think he's right. I think that being one of the 32 owners in the NFL, you're working against yourself when you're going to sue the NFL. You're working against 1/32 of the entire fraction of the NFL owners, and I think it's just like you said, I think they may have lost some momentum, and maybe the legalities of it weren't in their favor as much as they thought, or maybe didn't have the backing from the other owners the way that he thought. So I think I think something realized or clicked in his brain, like, you know what, we're just fighting now. We're not finding a solution. We're just continuing the problem.
Like, I understand what you're saying completely. I can't get on board with it was just face value. I give it a lot more than simply, I want to be the good Samaritan. Because if he wanted to do that, you know what he would have done? He would have done it in the first place. He would have stuck to his word the first time around when he said, we're just going to accept whatever the NFL brings down. He wouldn't have changed his mind, and it's not like I can't imagine somebody as intelligent as Robert Kraft going all of a sudden, oh, you know what? We're just looking bad and making a bad name for the NFL 2 weeks into it. I cannot get on board with that line of thinking. It would be nice if I could, but I just can't do it. To me, it's more, I'm not going to say he thinks that they're guilty. To me, it's more he was never as 100% positive that the Patriots were as squeaky clean as he sounded like. To me, it's more, if I go through with this and end up having to sue the league, some judge is going to say, okay, I'm subpoenaing Brady's texts and emails and all of this stuff and all of that stuff, and when all that goes out into the court, it's there. They can't say no to it. If they say no to a subpoena, they're going to jail. You can't do that. Right. So I think it's more like, I don't think that he's, well, oh no, then they'll find those emails I've seen. I think it's more of, do I really believe Brady had nothing to do with this? I don't know. I don't know if I want to take that risk. That's what it means to me. And especially with, I'm not sure if you've seen the stories that have come out in the last couple of days about a lot of the acceptance came from Bill Belichick telling him that he didn't believe Tom Brady.
Yeah, Ron Borges wrote that. Ron Borges is the one that made that story. He's a schmuck. If you go back and look at Ron Borges' history, he is, and for the Boston Globe, or either the Boston Herald or Boston Globe, I can't remember
It's
which
Globe.
one.
He's Boston Globe.
All right, yeah, so for the Boston Globe, he is a perennial Bill Belichick hater. He is, and he is a shtick writer. There's no way, as someone who covers the Patriots, can say that he hasn't done a good job with the franchise. And Ron Borges will find you a million reasons as to why he hasn't. So I don't believe anything Ron Borges said. This is the same as when Ron Jackson came out and said, the Patriots hate their coach when they cut Lawyer Malloy. And it's just, I don't believe that that's true. I think he said that sources close to him said that Belichick doesn't necessarily believe Brady, and he never did. And it's just, I don't know. It's way too loose-ended. I can't get into that one either.
Gotcha. No, and I understand that, but I think that there is, maybe that report itself isn't true, but I think that there's some undertone of truth to that. That with the prospect of, okay, well, some judge might be looking at all of our stuff with a fine-tooth comb, and there's no way we can tell them, no, we're not giving it to you. I think there's some undertone of, are we sure that this didn't go deeper? Are we sure that it was the science? Are we sure that this wasn't more along the lines of what the Wells report said? Because honestly, I think that if he's 100% positive, if he's seen all of the evidence, he knows for sure, down in his gut that they didn't do anything, he continues. Because you can say what he wants about wanting to do what's best for the league. His first responsibility is the Patriots, and those penalties hurt the Patriots bad. A first-round pick is a big deal. It's a big deal.
It is. But I wonder if he's always been a league guy, Robert Kraft. Like he's always been pro NFL. And he developed the Patriots to a great level, but he's always been one of the faces of the owners, like one of the owners you see so often when it came to the near lockout a couple of years back and all, you know what I mean? Like he's always kind of been the guy that tried to help push what's best for the NFL. I think maybe at first Bill Belichick said, are you kidding me, Rob? We were exonerated in this freaking report. What are we doing? We're losing draft picks. You got to do something here. This is crazy. And maybe with the fact that it's Bill Belichick, and he said, well, I don't want to piss off maybe the best coach in the NFL or in NFL history, whatever. I don't. All right, yeah, I get it. You're right, whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, it's not really getting us anywhere. And now I'm going to get into a legal battle, and who knows what's going to go there. You're right. Maybe that shadow of doubt started to overcome and just say, you know what, screw it. And I know Bill's probably pissed that he's losing a pick here, but this is no longer good business for the NFL. So,
yeah,
and like he said, he took care of the Patriots already. So now the league thing is his main focus.
And I get that, but guys like Robert Kraft didn't become guys like Robert Kraft because they put others first. Like, I know that he's got this great reputation and whatnot, but when it comes right down to it, he's a business guy, and he's going to get his before anybody else gets theirs. Right. That's just how it is. And I doubt very seriously he got as much money as he has by just, okay, take $1 million.
Right. Yeah.
Like, if you think that's how he is, feel free to write Robert Kraft, say that you have a new podcast and that you're a huge Patriots fan and that you would like to bankroll it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But here's the other thing about that, real quick. I just feel like if Tom Brady, all right, so Roger Goodell he's going to arbitrate the situation. NFLPA tries to name him as a witness, so he can't. And then he just said, yeah, whatever, the hell with the rules. I'm going to be the arbitrator anyway. And then the NFL decides, but the NFL's decision comes from Roger Goodell, even though now they're saying lawyers advised him to say, no, it doesn't matter. You're still going to be the arbitrator. I think there's got to be some wink-wink deal here. This is how maybe it's the conspiracy theory in me. I think if Tom Brady gets completely off the hook and doesn't miss one game, I think that was a Robert Kraft, Roger Goodell, because they back-channeled their conversations, and it wasn't held between lawyers or agents or anything like that. It was just man-to-man. I think it's, hey, Rod, shut the hell up, and I'll give you your quarterback back, all right? Let's just brush this thing away. You'll get Brady back. Just take the rest of it. We got a deal. Deal? All right. You know what I mean? So I think if you see Brady get off completely, I'll think Robert Kraft did what was best for the Patriots then. You know what I mean? Because at that point,
once again, like, I get where you're going with that, but Robert Kraft has got to be a better negotiator than that. Are you telling me 4 games of Tom Brady is worth a first and a fourth round pick? Hell no.
No, but fan-wise.
Well, yeah, and he has a responsibility to the fans. But are you going to not watch the first 4 games?
No, it's not that I'm not going to watch it.
Then
But
what are you talking about? Like, what do the fans even equate into? They're still going to watch. They're still going to support the Patriots. And it's a rallying cry. Tom Brady limits the first 4 games. We're still going to make the playoffs.
right. No, it is. It is. But I also think that Tom Brady, going through any of this, is going to play out of his mind anyway.
Oh yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be really difficult with, actually inflated balls. But
Yeah, considering he went 37-50 in the Super Bowl and scored 28 points in the second half of the AFC Championship, which he only scored 14 in with underinflated balls. So
yeah, well, who knows? Maybe they de-inflated him again. I don't know. A bunch of cheaters over there. But moving on from one level of management to another, as we both know, or most people know now, the Florida Marlins fired their manager after, I think, 43 games, something like that. But a quarter of the way through the season. Granted, they were underperforming, especially after a lot of expectations, after a semi-decent year last year, and then signing who a lot of people believe is the best player in baseball to a monster deal. All those things always bring expectations with them. And he was underperforming. They were under 500. People were not happy. So they fired him. I cannot stand when management gets fired like that halfway through the season. To me, it's just a stupid move, but I'll give you the floor first. What do you think?
I think that there are some situations where you absolutely need to. Maybe the manager, like the actual manager of a baseball team is a little different, I guess. But I think, being a Red Sox fan, the pitching manager was just relieved of his duties, or he was no longer needed by the franchise a couple weeks back, and they've turned it around, pitching wise. It may just be the fact that they shook it up, and it's like, all right, just a little new energy, little strike of lightning into the souls of the pitchers. But sometimes it works. I don't know if it's like a head coach, and I know like in football you never really how often does an NFL head coach lose their job in the middle of the season?
It's fairly rare. It happens, right. But
yeah, and same in the
Raiders.
NBA.
It happens more, but
that's right. You've actually been employed and fired by the Raiders twice.
Twice
today.
In the last 5 years.
Today. So yeah, it's still in the last 5 years, but And in the NBA, it happens, I'd say, more frequently than NFL, but still not as much as in baseball. I like it. I think it sends a good message. It sends a, hey, we're trying to win to the fan base. And it sends a, we're willing to do whatever we got to do until we got to find our guy or find the guy that's willing to put a winning product out on the field. I think it sends a good energy to the players that okay, obviously this isn't working. Listen, we started with him. If it continues to be an issue, you're next. You know what I mean? It's because it's much easier to let go of one guy than try to dump an entire team and rebuild it to the point where it's better than the problem that you are already having. So sometimes it's just a change of culture. It's just a culture change. It's just a shock.
I get the whole, we need to shake things up, or we should be doing so much better than this. But I still cannot get on board with changing your head guy halfway through or a quarter of the way through the season. I mean, okay, think of it this way. NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, they're all the same. All the same in this aspect. There is so much planning that a manager has to do before the season and then throughout the season. So you've got leading up to the season all the way to the point they get fired. They have literally planned all of that. Now, maybe some of their plans aren't working out, obviously, since they're not planning on losing any games. But they've done all of this work. And then you're going to inject this new guy in there who hasn't planned, sometimes hasn't even been around the team, doesn't know the personality of the team. The team doesn't know him. He has no credibility with that team. And then you're going to expect it to get better? Like, how? Essentially, what he's going to be forced to do is either come up with a plan on the fly, not very well thought out, and hope that it works really, really well, or he's going to just take what the other manager was doing and hope that his different personality changes the outcome, which it rarely does. Just for example here, there are two notable exceptions, and I'll get to them. But teams that change their head manager at some junction in the season, before like the very end of the season, their winning percentage on average only goes up 0.5%. 0.5%. That's terrible. What is that in baseball? What is that, like 4 games? Great. 4 more games. And then that includes 2 teams that actually went on to win the World Series. The 2003 Marlins, which is kind of a cool coincidence. They fired their coach for McKeon with the exact same record as they had this year, and ended up winning the World Series in 2003. So that's kind of a neat.
So go to Vegas and bet on the Marlins. That's what I'm saying, podcast listeners.
And then in 1978, Steinbrenner got angry and fired the coach, and they went on to win the World Series.
Yeah. Billy Martin in 78. And I think that was the first time he was fired. I think Steinbrenner fired Billy Martin like 4 times. But overall, it doesn't change anything. The Raiders, the last time the Raiders fired their coach, they didn't win any more games. Like, they were the same Raiders. Let's see, I can't think of any off the top of my head in the NHL. NBA. Who was a big star that got, not a big star, but who was a coach in the last year or two that's been fired halfway through the season in the NBA? Halfway through, I want to say. I think Lionel Collins, is that his name? I think he used to be the old Memphis coach.
Yeah. But they didn't really improve that year.
No, they got better. Yeah, they got better kind of around the bend there.
Yeah. So
I don't remember what the record was pre or post Collins, but yeah,
I don't think they made the playoffs that year.
Right.
But my point is, like, now if you want to change a coach in the last couple games or in the Major League Baseball, like the last week or two, because maybe there's a guy on your staff that you want to see how he does, fine. Go for it. You're out of it. You want to see what you've got, see if he's good enough to go forward. I understand that. But to change a coach in the middle of the season and then hope that his spark just ignites the team, it's just stupid to me. Now, can it work? Yes, obviously it can. There's 2 teams that I just named that went on to win the World Series. But the vast majority of teams actually get worse because it sends... I know you think that it sends, oh, we're trying to win, but to me it sends the complete opposite message where it's just, we're panicking, we suck, management knows we suck, we have to do something, we can't fire all you losers, so we're going to fire your coach. And then everyone's just kind of stuck with, like, this sinking feeling of, oh, we suck, and that's hard to get out of. And then you have the added guilt that you just cost some guy his job. Like, that's, to me, it's just a bad move, shouldn't be done. Now, position coaches and whatnot, completely understandable. They're a much smaller part of the team. Sometimes there's new personnel that came in. Sometimes there's a new coach that came in and kept a position manager on, or like an offensive coordinator in the NFL, and halfway through the season, it's just not working. They're not meshing correctly, and those people they are more readily replaceable. But to replace the guy that puts together the whole team, plans the whole team, really is kind of the focus of the team. He's the heart and soul of the team. He's the guiding light of the team. You know, to turn that light off and change it halfway through.
I hear you. I just feel like I'm not surprised at all that that's your stance on this because, like, according to our last podcast, you basically just said, like, fire David Blatt today. You know,
what do you mean?
Like you just think he should be fired, and I mean, so like he may be the first coach in postseason history to get fired right in the middle of his run. So
I said that he should be fired at the end of the season.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but you're like no, he's disrespected. He's got to go. Whatever, So I guess it kind of makes sense to me that you feel that way. Like I learned a lot about you last week. And it's showing.
I learned that you're just a cold guy.
And it's showing true colors today.
I don't know. I can't get on board with it. It's just, to me, it's just dumb. Like, he's there for a reason. All of these guys, there's very, very rarely do you run across a Bill Belichick or a Bill Parcells or a Joe Torre or like a Arbuckle or Jackson.
Come on. Arbuckle. Come on.
So disrespectful, Red Auerbach. So disrespectful to my soul. Oh.
I know. I knew it would get you. Sorry, I had to take the shot.
Arbuckle.
But like, those are so rare. And then I feel like all of the other managers and coaches, they're all good, and they're all almost interchangeable. It's not their fault that their team's underperforming, because their team's performing to the level of their talent. It takes a special coach or manager to get more out of a player. And you don't just find them. You don't just replace them. Like, and they're even more rare that the coach is so bad that they have this colossal amount of talent and they're bringing them down. So it's just better to wait to the end of the year, because the other manager you get is probably not going to be any different. And it's going to hurt your team psyche. The instability is not going to make people want to come play for you.
This segment was brought to you by Opal Red Arbuckle popcorn.
Okay, all right. I'm sorry. I won't. No more cheap shots. No more Boston cheap shots.
Cheap plug at Opal Red Arbuckle popcorn.
But okay. But that's just where I stand. Like,
no, I get you. I hear you.
But we'll move on now that you're mad at me about the. You see, switching gears a little bit, we got the NBA playoffs still going on for the next, I think, 2 years or so.
Yeah.
Which brings up an interesting question: do you think it's better to have a just single game elimination? You know, you two are playing, you win, you move on, you lost, you go home. Or do you like the never-ending 7-game series?
Well, now that you throw some shade my way, I feel like there's some times where we kind of just play devil's advocate for the sake of having a back and forth on some topics. Like where sometimes I genuinely disagree with you, and sometimes I kind of agree with you, but like I'll kind of argue one side just to pull more out of you. And I feel like you do the same thing with me. We challenge each other, and that's what makes us a great team. But today,
do we need to hug now? What the hell was that?
That was just a very, very intimate moment. Today, this moment, this segment, third segment of our fifth podcast, Matt, I so genuinely, organically feel, give me a playoff series. Any day.
And you're ridiculous, but go ahead.
Any day of any week of any week of any month of any year, give me a 7-game series. Give me a 3-game series. Give me more than one GD game, okay? Because I
was really hoping you'd go down to 2-game series so I could be like, oh, that doesn't work.
yeah. Give me the series, man. A 1-game
Why?
playoff.
Why?
A 1-game playoff, more than in playoff series, you wind up with not the better team, the full team, winning games and advancing in the playoffs. The playoffs is a gauntlet and a struggle and a survival of the fittest tournament. It absolutely should be the best teams moving forward. Seeding isn't everything, but you earn your stake by being the best team, by playing the best all year, by getting your seeding, obviously. So, to me, you could say that not every 6th seed is necessarily worse than the 5th seed or 4th, because the 4th won their division. I know that happens sometimes, like in football, like with 4 division winners. The 4th one could be 9-7, and you could have a wild card that's 10-6. But for the most part, winning your games all year and displaying it normally comes true in the playoffs. And in leagues where they do playoff series, normally that's true. You don't wind up with worse records being better seeds. You know what I'm saying? So give me the best teams going forward all the time. I want to see the ultimate competition. As a fan, that's what I want. I want to see the best teams play each other, move on, then the better teams of those best teams play each other every time. I don't want to see the wild card idiots play against the way better players and then a way better whatever team just because they won their one game. Like, no way, that's ridiculous.
Like, okay, wait, time out. So your point seems to be that the team won, therefore they're the worst team. I don't understand that logic at all. Like, if you're the better team, go out there and beat the worst team in one game. Like, your logic just makes no sense to me. You know, oh, they were lower seed, so they shouldn't have won.
You create the opportunity to have a worse team win more often by only having a one-game playoff.
Yes and no, maybe.
No, you do, because the better team, like if the better team plays more games against that opponent, against said worst team, then if they get 7 chances to win 4 games, they'll do it if they're the better team.
Right, and I get that, but more, you're talking theoretics here. Like, that's completely theoretical. Like, just because they're 9-7 doesn't mean they're a worse team than an 18-0 team. It doesn't. Maybe the 9-7 team had some serious injury problems. Maybe they don't play well in the regular season because of their style of game.
This is theoretics.
Playoffs? No, this is not theoretics.
It is. You're creating scenarios.
And so aren't you.
Right. Because we're not. That's what we do. So,
listen,
but just let the record state. Stenographer, read this back, please. Dave, you're reading theoretics. So we're both doing it.
Okay, I get that maybe series can even be more entertaining, although I can't stay. Like, who cares about Game 2? Yippee, great. No one's gonna go home, so it's great. Whatever. But I can see that maybe if you're like in love with the sport and you really, really just don't want to let it go to the end of the season, maybe I can't wait for Game 4 that's not going to decide anything. But this is how a series works. It either goes real deep to 7 games, in which case that's a 1-game playoff that you've just wasted 6 games of my life on. Or 2, it goes either a sweep, 4-1, or 4-2. In which case, you're essentially telling me that the other team is way better and more likely would have just won. It just would have. Now, you say that, well, you know, these lesser teams can beat the better teams in 1 game. Yes, that's true. But do you think that there's the same problem that they have in the 7-game series where one team, the better team, just looks flat in Game 3? Maybe they could have swept them, but they don't care because they know they're going to beat them, and so they take Game 3 off a little bit. And that's their one win they snuck in. Or they just traveled and they were tired, so, whatever. We're up 2-0. Like, I don't want to... To me, it doesn't mean any more than that. Plus, I like the fact that if you have a bad day, you deserve to lose. You're not the better team.
No, but you are the better
team. Because if you can't muster your best game in the biggest times, I don't want you in the next round of the playoffs, because it's an even bigger time. I just don't.
Football's the only sport that does this. Every other sport, and football is the only sport that does it because you have to. You can't do a series in football because it would take 7 weeks to do 1 round of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. And I don't want football to change. But what I'm saying is tennis, each match is a series of series. You know what I mean? Like, it's
right,
it's
but how a tennis game is scored is yeah.
So that's a series of series, and then the NBA and MLB and NHL are series. The World Cup is 1 game, right? Well, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yes.
Well, it's double elimination, but it's 1 game.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, and that's exciting. I love the World Cup and I love the NFL playoffs. I do like 1-game series, but the reason why, or 1-game elimination games, I love watching a series come together. I love watching the back and forth. I love watching this team's down 3-2. They only have one game left at home. Then they got to travel back on the road for Game 7. Are they going to be able to win their game and get a chance? I love the dramatics, the theatrics of what a 7-game series entails. If it winds up
so
being
you just
7,
like the length of it.
I like the length.
You
of
like
it.
the.
I like the length of
like
it.
because I can make the same point about the NFL. It's the the game is just a series of series. They're called quarters, and if you win the most quarters, you win the game. Like a tennis match isn't a series. That's just how it's scored. That's just how the game's played. Those could be quarters or
Okay, all right.
And
no, that's fair.
And no one ever says, "Oh, well, they're not as good." Like, yeah, are there upsets? Yes, there are. But are there upsets in 7-game series? Yeah,
there are.
There's upsets in 7-game series too.
There definitely are upsets. I mean, it's going to happen. Like it's not automatic that you got the 1 seed because then you wouldn't even need the playoffs. You could just advance. Whoever had the best record, you win. So the opportunity is great. But if being the 2 seed or 3 seed in the NBA, or being the 1 seed in the East and having to play up against the West, to me, you're still the best team in your conference. Now, maybe the 1 seed in the West is a better team because they have a better record and they've played better all year and they play against better competition. But you're still the best you're still representing your conference and you're the best in your conference. And then if you can go and win that game, that's great. But to me, and you said that it was theoretics that I'm making it sound like the lower seed always wins. It's not that they always win. But out of the 49 Super Bowls, only 45% have been 1 seeds from either conference. So less than half of all the Super Bowls, it's been 2 of the best teams in the league, either conference. In basketball, 49 of the 68 championships have been 1 seeds. In hockey, since 1994, they switched to the 16-game playoff, or the 16-team playoff. They're 7 of 20. Combined, that the playoff series, I couldn't get baseballs because it's way too much information. There's a lot there. It's like 130 years of World Series. But combined, the series formats have had 64% of their series won by 2 of the top seeds facing each other.
Okay, so it's 45% to 64%.
64 to 45, right, yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm telling you that you can't really compare those other sports to football because football changes so much in the playoffs. So does
hockey.
Playoff football is different than regular season football. There's more pressure.
Hockey's like that, though, too. Basketball's not. I'll give you basketball, hands down.
Basketball's not, and I don't think that baseball is at all, either.
Baseball just has the intensity, but hockey...
It's got intensity, but in football, it's so emotionally filled, and the weather changes so much that you have to do different things on both defense and offense, to where, you love to make the point about your precious little Patriots losing to the horrible little Giants. They shouldn't have lost. They were the better team. And they were in the regular season. But playoff football, the Giants were a better team than the Patriots. They were just built better for the playoffs.
I don't know. If David, you're talking about David Tyree making the play of his lifetime and of his kid's lifetime.
Granted.
Without that play, the Patriots win the Super Bowl. It's not even a question.
Okay, it may still have happened. 1, 2, the play did happen, and 3, they held the juggernaut Patriots to 17 points.
Yes, they did. No, that's true.
That's my point. The Patriots were not a playoff football built team. The Giants were.
But I mean, they won just as many games to get to the Super Bowl in the playoffs as the Giants did.
Right.
Say they're not a playoff. They weren't built to win the playoffs. They did. They still had a winning record in the playoffs that year. You know what I mean? They just lost. They just lost.
But you understand, as far as better, I believe that the Giants beat the Patriots in the playoffs more often than they lose.
Yeah,
I think if that was a 7-game series, the Giants beat the Patriots in the playoffs. But we're not talking about playoff football.
Right.
The fact that 7-game series, are they longer? Yes. Maybe they take a little bit of the unsure, upset out of the equation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 1, that's not a good thing in my eyes. I like the fact that upsets happen. I like the fact that the team that was just good enough to squeak in there can really get emotional and really try hard and take the league by storm. I like that.
See, I hate when that happens in my March Madness bracket. I got some idiot 15 seed ruining my whole
We'll
thing.
stop being a gambler. How about that? But it happens anyways. It does. 36 World Series have been decided by a Game 7. Only 14 years since the since the LCS went to 7 games. Only 14 years has there been no Game 7. There's been over 100 Game 7s in the NBA playoffs, and I stopped counting halfway through, and I was at like 130. And I just was halfway through, and I'm just like, I can't count anymore. So, these are all essentially one-game series, except now you've played 6 more games, so there's bigger risk of injury. The better team might not have their best player now.
Give me the battle. Give me the war.
No, you're wrong on this one. Sorry, give me the one game. You better come out here and try real hard, rather than we can take Game 3 off, so no big deal, guys.
I get that they all wind up in Game 7, and you just perceive it then as a one-game playoff, which it is in theory, but really,
in reality,
it's
a winner-go-home game.
Yeah, it is a winner-go-home game, but really, it's your 7th opportunity to win your 4th game. It's not, and it is a one-game playoff because now you don't have another opportunity beyond that. But it's Game 7 to me is just your 7th opportunity to win your 4th game. I would rather that. I'd rather be able to stub my toe or have my opponent stub their toe and be like, man, we didn't even get their best shot. We didn't, and that's not. I'll take the win. We didn't even get the best. We didn't get the best of them.
See, like that right there is my problem with it. The fact that you can say that in the playoffs bothers me, and I think it hurts the quality.
It's not getting up.
The fact that you can be like, it's no big deal. We get one more chance. I hate that. I can't stand that. You don't get any more chances. It's the playoffs. Go out there and do your best. If you stub your toe, you obviously had something wrong with you that makes you not that great a team.
No.
Sorry.
People have bad days. There are some days.
Well, don't have a bad day in the playoffs. What do you want from me?
You can't pick. You don't pick it, man. You don't, because if anyone could choose when to do it, they would obviously not choose to do it then. I think there are some days where Steph Curry, who's the best shooter in the league, hands down. What was it, Game 2 against Memphis? He looked awful. He looked terrible. He looked like a guy that I don't even want shooting 3-pointers in that day. Does that mean, oh, well, then he doesn't deserve it? Because, no, he's one of the best goddamn players in the league.
That's true, but it also means that you can't always depend on the 3. And a team that's depending on the 3 like that, maybe they deserve to lose a game.
Yeah.
Maybe they deserve to go home because they're not well-rounded enough to win without the 3.
I don't know. You do what gets you there.
And then plus you have the maybe we can just get a couple years of playoff basketball in. The NBA playoffs last 61 days. That's stupid.
Yeah, but that's the scheduling.
That's insane.
That's the scheduling.
MLB playoffs, with better scheduling, I think that we can both agree, lasts almost 45.
Right.
Get out of here.
Yeah, but that's because it takes 3 days to play one game.
I can't. Give me the one day, all day. But since you brought up, Steph Curry, we did lean heavily on basketball playoffs there. Brings up an interesting question. There's a lot of really good teams needed to playoffs, obviously. Lots of really young, up-and-coming players with a nice little mix of the older, still superstar players, too. In your opinion, who's the most exciting, not best, but most exciting person to watch in the NBA?
The most must-see TV every night?
Yeah.
Steph Curry. Chef Curry with the pop, boy. Just Chef Curry.
What?
Sorry, that's a Drake line. That's a Drake line. I'm Steph Curry with a shot. Chef Curry with the pop, boy. Anyway. Yes.
I think you've ruined the podcast.
Stephen Curry. All my Drake fans out there, hit me up on Twitter. Stephen Curry right now is the best. Most exciting player in the NBA.
Okay, I disagree completely with that. I'll give you mine in a second. Defend that.
Defend it.
No, you know what? We'll just take your word for it. Let's just move on. Yeah, go ahead and defend it.
Right. Stephen Curry is the purest form of basketball. He's got incredible ball handling ability. He has great court vision. He can shoot from anywhere. I mean, literally anywhere in the pregame last night or 2 nights ago. He made a shot from the tunnel just for no reason.
Did he really?
Yeah, just in the pregame. He's like coming out and he just like shoots it from the tunnel and drills it. I mean, like, the guy is just so money. It's ridiculous. He's so exciting to watch. The fact that, like, and he's so quietly great. Like, I remember 2 years ago when he was going after Ray Allen's most three-pointers made in a regular season record, and it was like kind of becoming like a deal, you know, like, oh, this kid Steph Curry is going to pass it, and he passed it. And then last year, he fell 11 short of his own record, which I think was still only 7 short of the record previously. And then this year, he beat his own record by 14 three-pointers. I mean, that's almost another 5 games extra, you know, between
that's a huge deal.
Right. So, and his 1 3-pointer tonight, Stephen Curry will become the all-time playoffs made in a single playoff season.
Unless he's having one of those bad nights that we just forgive in the playoffs.
He needs one 3-pointer made shy of the all-time single playoff threes record. Ridiculous. The guy's insane.
Who owns that one? Is it Ray Allen?
Reggie Miller. Oh, well, actually, they both do at 57. And he's got 56 right now. Reggie Miller and Ray Allen both tie it because Ray Allen tied it that year that the Celtics lost the championship.
Right.
But to me, his handling's crazy. I watched in preparation of this video, I was trying to see, like, or not this video, of this podcast, I was watching the top 10 plays of the year released by NBA.com. So this isn't even like just some fanboy that, you know, put together a Stephen Curry highlight or anything. Stephen Curry had 2 of the top 10 plays on the whole season. James Harden had 1 as another big name player that I consider to be pretty exciting. Blake Griffin, another pretty exciting guy, he had 1. LeBron James had 0, which is weird because he normally kills somebody on like a dunk at least once a year. And he had none. But I mean, just 2 of the top 10 plays, and one of them, he turns Chris Paul into State Farm commercials, Cliff Paul, and just makes him look awful. And 2, 3, 4 times this year, he just crossed Chris Paul straight out of his sneakers. It was just ridiculous. So I think he just has more of those oh wow moments, the oh my god moments, than anyone else in basketball.
Okay, I get, like, you are more of a basketball purist than I am. Like, that's why I call you the basketball expert and whatnot. But to me, like, and maybe you're right for what you're looking for. Like, you can appreciate the nice arcing jump shot, or, you know, the real quick crossover. And the crossover is cool, but yawn, jump shot, really? Oh, maybe he'll bank it this time. Woo! Like, listen, I'm gonna borrow a phrase from baseball. Chicks dig the long ball, okay? Give me a dunk all day, every day. Something I can just go, wow, did he really just leapfrog over Kendrick Perkins and hurt his feelings? That's why my vote is for
Wait a minute.
Blake
Wait
Griffin.
a minute.
What?
You just said, oh, yawn, jump shot, maybe he'll make it.
No, I said maybe he'll bank it.
Right, okay, all right, so maybe he'll bank it, whatever. Yawn.
Yeah.
Yawn. A dunk is so automatic. It's like the extra point.
Okay, yeah, and you know what? So isn't a home run. Home run's an automatic 1 point. But there's something just about it.
No, the probability of hitting a home run is not the same as the probability of making a dunk, though. Like making a dunk is like kicking an extra point in football. Jump shooting's harder than dunking.
Yes, it's harder. And that's why I can say maybe the basketball purists out there will agree with you. But are you going to tell me it's flashier, more exciting than a dunk over somebody? You're going to tell me that a jump shot is more exciting than a dunk?
No. I mean, because...
Well, what's the question? Is the question who's the purest basketball player, or is it the most exciting?
Well, to me, I mean, okay, so Blake... we said player, not score. You know what I mean? Yeah, a dunk is probably more exciting. You know, it is more exciting when Blake Griffin, who does absolutely just throw it down. I'm not disrespecting Blake Griffin here. He is the best dunker in basketball. He just embarrasses people. It's insane.
I know. Kendrick Perkins is still in the corner crying from 3 years ago.
And Timothy Mozgov and everyone else in the league. Like he just
Kendrick Perkins has stopped defending people the same way
because of that dunk. That's true. Yeah, I'll never forget after that game, Kendrick, Blake Griffin seemed to get the best. You know, that's what happens when you try to block shots. When you're a shot blocker, sometimes you get dunked on. Whoa! All right, Kendrick. We were just asking, like, does Blake Griffin have your number? That's all. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Blake's good. He's really exciting. He is really exciting. I just think he's like a one-trick pony.
Yeah, but that trick is awesome.
The trick is awesome. You're right. He's kind of like a one-trick
that
unicorn.
Trick is being awesome.
He's kind of like a one-trick unicorn. Like, it's just kind of awesome. But
like he's okay. This year he was a bit down, but still very good numbers. And when he dunks. It's not like it's a fast break. You know, no one's around him. When he dunks, there's almost always some guy that's getting posterized, which makes it so much better. But in the NBA, he was 18th in the NBA for most dunks, 7th at his position. So not the 18
good,
is
not great.
Good, not great. And the 7th is a little bit better, but still not great. The thing that gets me is he made 93% of the dunks, which to me, like, I know a lot of people are like, he missed 7% of dunks, but like I said, he's always contested. He's not taking these, I'm all alone. So that adds to the excitement factor, the fact that he's not that guy that's going to pull up and do a fade or pull up and just do a layup. He's going for the dunk. It's that simple. Yeah. And with his size and his speed, he is must-see TV in the NBA to me. I wish he was a little harder, little tougher on the defensive side because he could be just as exciting on defense, but he's not that tough a player. He's kind of soft, to be honest. But on offensively, my goodness. I mean,
he's a thrill. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's boring. I'm not going to go that far. Blake Griffin is awesome to watch. I don't know. I guess we probably picked here the two human highlight reels, sort of like Steph Curry. What he can do with a basketball is more impressive than any other person in the league to me, and what Blake Griffin can do with his body is more impressive. You know what I mean? Like, there's kind of a difference. Blake Griffin's pure athleticism shines so much when he dunks, and Steph Curry's ability with the ball is what really separates him as well. So it's like they're both. I don't think you can go wrong with either. I'll tell you what. I'll watch both of them for as long as I can. You know what I mean? I'll take them both.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of feel like the casual basketball fan would agree with me, and the actual basketball fan, like the hardcore fan, would probably agree with you on this one. But I'm telling you, man, give me the dunk all day.
Chicks.
Give me that ball bouncing off some poor defender's head as you celebrate. That's me all day.
And if I can steal a term from baseball, chicks dig the long ball. And there's no longer ball than the three-pointer in the NBA, my friend.
That is the saddest thing I've ever heard in my life. That is the worst argument you have ever made.
Chicks dig the long ball, my friend.
We are gonna use that opportunity to move on to our favorite segment.
I'm such a dad. It's so bad.
The fan questions. Got a couple here, so it's good. Thank you for sending the questions. Keep them coming. We appreciate the feedback. Let's see here. Josh from South Carolina, every week listener. No Josh.
Hey, Josh.
Great questions. Keep them coming. See, he was wondering, back to the NBA playoffs, was the Clippers' collapse from up 3-1 to losing the series the biggest choke in NBA history?
First, I want to follow up on the Josh shout-out. I can't wait to become personal friends with this guy. Second, the Clippers choke, is that the biggest one ever? Oh, man, I don't know. I guess you could put it up there with Doc Rivers' other 3-1 loss and the fact that he's the only coach.
Overrated.
Matt gave me this info, so I'm not going to sit here and steal it from him. But, yeah, Doc Rivers is the only coach with more than one 3-1 blown series leads. No, 3-1's as bad as it gets in basketball because no one's ever blown a 3-0. So, yeah, it's up, and it's got to be up there. But I'm almost positive there's been a home team that's blown a 3-1 before. I don't know that for a fact, but I would assume that of the several times that this has happened, at least once the better seed blew the 3-1 lead. And the fact that the Rockets had a home court advantage, I don't think it really makes it the worst choke ever. I mean, they should have never got to Game 7, but they did, and the Rockets had home court advantage, and they won their game. They won Game 7 at home, which is what they played the whole season for, to get home court advantage and to get a Game 7 at your place.
Yep.
So, yeah, I feel like
you have to play that one-game series at home.
One-game series at home, and it's a great thing that they had 7 opportunities to win 4. So, next question is Blake from Texas, new listener. She wants to know, or he wants to know. I'm really sorry. Blake's a tough one.
I think Blake's got it.
Yeah, I know a woman Blake, but all right. So anyway, Blake she wants to know is the Cowboys running game going to suffer with the loss of DeMarco Murray, or does the fact they have such a great offensive line it didn't really matter?
Like, to me, this is an easy one. I know Murray was a high draft pick. I know he was very, very sought after, very highly respected coming out of college. He's done very well when he's been on the field. He's only played one full season, and that was last season. And the reason is he didn't get hit a lot because that offensive line is insane. They have, 5 first-round draft picks? All of their line is first-round draft picks. Those people are opening holes that I could run through, and I'm fat and slow. Like, there's no reason that another running back can't come in there and do everything that they need him to do. Will it be 1,600 yards? Maybe not. It'll probably be around closer to the 1,400 as long as their running back core can stay healthy. But no, I don't think that there's a huge drop off there. I think that the Cowboys recognize that, and that's why they let him walk. You know, they had to make some tough decisions there, and they decided that Dez Bryant's simply more valuable because their offensive line could probably block for Emmitt Smith now. And have Emmitt Smith doing quite well.
True.
Like, it's just, listen, how much talent do you really need other than vision and a little bit of speed if the hole is 5 feet wide?
Right.
You know, as long as you see it and you can get to it before it closes, you're good to go. So I don't think there's going to be a huge drop-off there at all. Let's see here. Michelle from Maine, I think this is our first Maine question.
Shout out to Maine.
Was wondering whether or not you think it's a good thing that the commissioners of all these leagues work for the owners of the leagues.
No, I personally don't. I feel like they should be their own entity. Like, they should be their own thing separate. If there's just a person that runs the league, and then you have the owners, and then they just cooperate together. I think that it's weird that, again, we'll bring it back kind of like full circle here to the first segment. I think it's weird to me that Roger Goodell is employed technically by Robert Kraft and 31 others, yet he is now taking money from his boss. Like, what kind of sweet gig is that? You know what I mean? Where do I sign up to be able to take money from my boss just at will, whenever I want? Like, hey, I don't like that.
It's essentially the same gig that bartenders have.
Yeah, that is kind of true. Yeah, but just be like, hey, I don't like the fact that you scheduled me for a double. Give me $1 million, whatever. I don't know. I just think it creates almost a conflict of interest in a way, and it's kind of sticky. I just think that it'd be better if they had other people representing the league, and maybe you could have a team of representatives from the owners that represented the owners committee or whatever, and then you had a commissioner separate. I don't like the fact that they get to pick and choose who the commissioner is, and they can let him go, they can hire a new one, they can do whatever, but yet the commissioner kind of powers them when it comes to punishments and sanctions and stuff like that. It's kind of weird to me. But Shane from Missouri is wondering, does the steroid stigma impact your opinion when you see a young star thrive in baseball today? Do you still have that lingering, yeah, he's probably on roids feeling?
Unfortunately, I do. Like, I know that baseball has done a lot to clean up the game, and I don't know if there's much more they can do. I mean, their penalties are ridiculously hard. They're testing randomly. They're doing all this good stuff. But there's so many people out there that their job is to come up with new ways of using steroids and not getting caught. And it's so hard to police, and it was so prevalent for so long. I can't shake it. Like, to me, that's always, or at least for quite some time, it's going to be part of what baseball is to me. And it's unfortunate, but when I see, Cabrera hitting his 400th home run, or Bryce Harper, hitting 15 home runs in 25 games or something like that, or I see the end of the season numbers of some of these guys, all I can think of is the mid to late 90s, when it was commonplace for somebody to hit 35, 40 home runs, and to be good, you had to be, a 50 home run guy. And I kind of feel like the numbers are creeping back up that way, and every time I see it, I'm just like, I wonder if he's juicing. And I know it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. It's the bed that baseball made for itself. So it's got some time to go before I can kind of move past it. But that's all I've got. That's all the questions I've got here. You got anything else?
One more here. And I don't want to answer this. All right, so a good friend of mine, Joe Derrigan, I threw a thing up on Facebook saying, anyone got any fan questions? Here's an opportunity for you guys to get mentioned on the show, He instantly responded within 4 minutes. Dave, do you believe that the trials of Osiris are made for modders and laggers to thrive to a level 34 and reap the rewards handed by Brother Vance to the Guardians who succeed the most through the passage of the trials? I don't know what the hell he's talking about. But, Joe, yes, I do.
Good answer, because what?
And never again will I be taking a non-sports related question on this podcast. I feel so down for Joe right now, because I think he actually knows what he's talking about, and I don't. So that was a very eerie wrap-up to the show.
Yeah, that's way to kill the vibe of the show, Dave. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for that show killer question.
Well, great questions except for Joe this week. And we appreciate everyone getting in touch with us here and asking us questions. And don't forget, you can do it any week. You can hit us up on Facebook.com/Neighborhood Sports Talk. You can find us on Twitter at the number 2 Guys Sports Talk. So at 2 Guys Sports Talk on Twitter. You can get your questions submitted there. You can email us questions or topics if you want at neighborhoodsportstalk@gmail.com. And if you're trying to find different venues or more convenient ways to listen to the show, or if you're trying to tell your friend about it and they only have an Android or an iTunes or an Apple or whatever, here's a list of ways that you can find us. This is really getting easy now. You can go to iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, SoundCloud, Podbean, or you can simply Google us, and we pop up with a million different links to all of our other stuff. So all you gotta do is put Neighborhood Sports Talk into any of those things that I listed. You'll find us there. We just started the SoundCloud page and the YouTube one. And thank you to the guys who've watched there and the subscribers that we've got on SoundCloud already. And Podbean, we've got a couple more follows this week, so we appreciate everyone. I think, DM Rousen and Always for the Fans, I think were some of our new listeners, and CP Elliott, some of our new fans, so shout out to those guys. And that wraps up this week, right? That's everything?
I think so. That's all I got.
All right.
Thanks for all the feedback. Keep the questions coming, everybody. Have a good week, Dave.
All right, Matt, I'll talk to you next week, buddy.